Welcome to the Sports Resort, your home for all things sports, with your hosts G Money,
Say,
Padre T.
and Connor. Let's get to it. Hello and welcome to the Sports Resort. This is your home for all things sports. I'm your host, Gannon Cornley. I want to welcome you guys to episode number 39. We have a lot to discuss on this week's episode. Our last content you guys saw on the live stream, we sat there and did coverage over the first round of the NFL draft, all 1 through 32 picks. It was very, very long, but we had a lot of fun. More fun than others, I'd say, after seeing Montae's reaction to something. Not all of us had a lot of fun, but I had fun anyway. And I was very happy with my team's first round selection. So if you missed that for any reason, definitely go back, check it out on our YouTube page. It's called the Sports Resort Podcast. You can check it out on YouTube. Subscribe. We need more subscribers on there. So definitely subscribe. But yes, check that out. So we got some NFL news, of course. Got some NBA news as we're so close around the corner from the playoffs. MLB is just really starting to set in as now we're over a full month into the season. NHL, their playoffs are pretty much all but decided except for a couple divisions. So we'll tackle that as well. And then just some other things we'll get into as the show goes on. Just me and Toby on this week's episode. But we have a lot of great content for you guys. What's up, my man, Toby?
We're back at it. Old Reliable is here. We've got Mr. Reed trying to become a lawyer in international law, he has decided.
Yep.
Doing 8-hour finals and stuff like that. That's law school, baby. That's why I didn't do it. No 8-hour finals for me. And then Montae, he could be anywhere. But us two are glad to be right here.
Hopefully not
for this show. We don't know where Montae is. Montae's probably out doing something that'll make him Connor's first client.
Oh no.
He's gone international.
International too?
He's gone international to do his deeds.
International. Oh no. I sure hope not. Poor Montae, bring him back to the States. Bring him back. Well, yeah, we'll keep a lookout for Montae, but we got a show to do, so we'll get on with it. You guys know the deal. For our first segment, we all started off with titled "What Is You Doing?" highlighting some of the biggest idiots in the world of sports. People just out there doing way too much. I'll let you take this one over first.
My "What Is You Doing?" is going to go to the NHL. I don't even know what the official title is for him, but he's supposed to be in charge of health and safety for players. And he's really bad at ensuring the health and safety of NHL players. Because last night, it was all over Twitter, NHL Twitter, which is a very small sect of Twitter. It wouldn't reach a lot of the mainstream. But Tom Wilson, who's widely known as what's like a good comparison? The Bill Laimbeer of hockey, except worse. Yeah, except worse.
Oh.
Was up to his old tricks again, injuring 2 Rangers players, ending Artemi Panarin, a former MVP season. Now, granted, there's like 4 games left to go, but ends his season slamming his head onto the ice. I don't know how many of our viewers have ice skated, but when you fall on that ice, there's no give. That hurts. And he was slamming him, no helmet on, almost head first into the ice. He got a $5,000 fine. $5.1 million contract. He was fined $5,000. He does not care. And you couldn't even suspend him. I mean, the guy's already been suspended for countless acts of cruelty around the league. And they didn't suspend him at all. For some reason, this incident, which is getting more press than a lot of his other ones, no suspension. People on the broadcast last night were mentioning this could potentially be a year long, maybe even into next year's suspension. The NHL's player and safety coordinator gave him no suspension, $5,000 fine. What is you doing? He's out there, MVPs of the league. You've got their season going out to this guy, the biggest bag in hockey. Really unfortunate. Unbelievably unfortunate. So he gets a huge what is you doing. Tom Wilson, he's just walking what is you doing. Nobody ever knows what that guy's up to. And good for him that I guess good for him he's not suspended, because if he had to take a year off from hockey, he'd probably wind up in jail. Guy's a total piece of work.
Yeah.
And I hate him.
That's crazy.
Sorry, Capitals fans. If you're a diehard Capitals fan. I love Ovechkin, but you've got the biggest POS in the sport on your team. So.
That's terrible. Dude, I'm pretty sure Katie got fined like 8 times that for his little beef with Michael Rappaport. And he didn't beef anybody. He had Instagram beef. Right. It was a private DM got him fined. I don't even know how much now, to be fair. I think it was $50K. Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, Kevin Durant makes probably 8 times more than Tom Wilson. But Kevin Durant's not out there intentionally trying to hurt people in his sport. It's absurd. KD should actually be applauded for that too. Put Rappaport in his place. But that's for a different time. Yes. That's go back and listen a few podcasts ago. Well, that guy, Wilson, his assault was against my NHL team. And unfortunately, this segment does not stop with my teams, because my what is you doing goes to one of the newest members of the Tennessee Titans, Rashad Weaver. I just and the Titans as well. Y'all see me repping my boy AJ the Goat Brown back here. But what is you doing? For those who have not heard, Rashad Weaver got drafted 4th round to the Tennessee Titans. This is on a Saturday. On a Sunday, after he gets drafted. Bright and early. Like, I got this report like 8 a.m. Sunday morning. This man went and beat some woman upside the head. Allegedly. He has not been convicted, so I don't want to throw that out there. But allegedly. Even if it's not true, how do you get put in this situation? Now, I say, what is you doing? Because this one like this happened some time ago. This was filed on April the 18th, 2 weeks before the draft. And the lawsuit or the police report was filed the night before he was drafted. So what is Weaver doing 2 weeks? You can't tell me you don't have better things to do 2 weeks before arguably the greatest day of your entire life, besides beating women upside the head or get into any type of confrontation with a woman. And then B, what is you doing, Tennessee? Why are you drafting this man? That's a waste of a draft pick for the 2nd year in a row. I don't understand. How do you not at least Google search the man before you select his name? Because I get if you didn't understand, if you didn't know all that had happened, especially because the report had been written, I guess, earlier that day. But a simple Google search can pull up exactly what this man has been involved in. I just don't understand. I honestly don't know what's worse. If they knew about it and still selected him, or if they didn't know and selected him. Either way, it's a bad look. And I don't get it. I don't get it. Tennessee, what is you doing? Rashad Weaver, what is you doing? And I was actually really excited about this pick. I thought he was kind of a steal, actually. Really good. All ACC. Fell to the 4th round. We needed a little bit extra edge rush help. I was very excited for that pick. And now it's, I don't know, who knows if he'll ever even play a down of football. Not even 12 hours after he was drafted. It's unreal. It is truly unreal. Yeah, you gotta hate to see it if you're a Titans fan. If you remember Isaiah Wilson on the team last year, you probably don't, because he was barely on the team last year.
But
I was
Mike
more
Vrabel's strategy of drafting guys that are as big and as mean as him has not been paying out so far. He wants big old mean guys like Vrabel. But
well, this is on John Robinson.
Well, you know Vrabel's got to say, if it's on the defensive side, now Isaiah Wilson, I bet they took him. If it's on the defensive side, Vrabel watched him. He was like, he looks like me out there. I'm taking him. Vrabel thought that. And I mean, if he ever does play for the Titans, he probably will end up being a good player. I also thought it was a steal. But yeah, extremely unfortunate situation. So just gotta let it play its course, I guess. That's all you can do.
Man, that is just so bad. I just don't understand what these guys are thinking. Even if he didn't, say she's lying. Why are you in that position? Bro, you're about to be a multi-millionaire. There is no female worth that. Costing you millions of dollars. I'm sorry. To any females that listen to our podcast, I'm sorry, but you are not worth me missing out on multi-millions of dollars. For whatever reason you're upset, that would lead me to hitting you upside the head. Unreal. None of you are worth that. Don't get it. But well, yeah, like you said, we'll have to see. Let it play its course. Only thing I can say is I'm glad we used a 4th round on him.
Yeah, you got a good 1st round pick.
Yeah. And we'll actually get straight into that, as of course, like we alluded to earlier, we live stream for the 1st round of the draft, but obviously there was more to that than just the 1st round. Lots of headlines and news stories surrounding the NFL draft. I mean, I don't know about you. I think this year, I've been more excited about this year's draft than I think I've been in a long time. I've always been excited to watch it, but I think I paid attention 1 through 7 more so than I ever have.
Yeah, I definitely would say so. I mean, I actually had a whole bunch of Excel spreadsheets made up. I went and I ranked all the prospects, however many I felt like could get drafted. And I went through, I ranked all of them myself so I could kind of follow along with the picks, be like, see, I thought that was a good one. I thought that was a bad one. And I'd have some sort of reasoning behind it. Yeah, I was pumped up, to say the least. For myself personally, as a Patriots and Chiefs fan, the Patriots never get to draft this high, and we never look for a quarterback. And that's always super fun about the draft, is when you're going to go out and get skill position guys. So I was looking for the draft for that reason. And this was a draft that was full of intrigue too, because you had a bunch of guys opting out. You knew who the number 1 overall pick was going to be, but you wanted to know where all the quarterbacks were going to end up after that. It was really a mystery after pick 1 and 2. A lot of these guys, you didn't know where they would fall, who was going to go where. So yeah, I thought it was a ton of fun. And I thought that a bunch of teams had sensational drafts. Like, there's usually some that really stand out. I think a lot of teams nailed it this year. A lot of teams. A great draft overall. And I can't wait for the draft to come to KC in 2 years.
Yeah, neither can I. I cannot wait. That's going to be so much fun. Especially if the Chiefs are like fresh off of a Super Bowl run or something. That's going to be so much fun.
Oh, it'll make it so much better too when it's here and we're picking 32nd, because that means the crowd's going to be there the entire night. I don't know if you guys watched the 1st round of the draft, but it was rocking in Cleveland. The Browns take Greg Newsom. Everybody's amped up. Nobody's there for the Saints pick when I watched it announced. The people were starting to leave at 27. By the time the Saints pick came up and Peyton Turner was picked, there was nobody in the crowd to go, what? Who? Because everybody was gone, went back. Cleveland's a working city. They all had work in the morning. That was a Thursday night. So.
A working city.
They are. That's hardworking people in Cleveland. There's not a lot better to do.
Yeah. Might as well make some money.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I what's that?
I said, buy yourself a part of the Cavs.
Oh man, they're gonna be begging Dan Gilbert to sell that team here in a minute. But yeah, no, I
Everybody
thought,
from Cleveland.
yeah, no kidding. I thought overall everybody had a pretty solid draft. As always, there's always winners and losers, and that's kind of what we wanted to get into next. I mean, it's kind of hard to highlight one team above the rest that just had an absolutely unreal draft. I think I guess, main winner would be the Chicago Bears. I think the Chicago Bears per se had the best draft. Now, the rest of their draft was solid, but I mean, nothing can compare to the first round that they had. Getting the second best quarterback, like we discussed on our last episode, in Justin Fields. You didn't really give up all that much. They did move up 9 spots, gave up quite a few picks, but not too much for it, to get a guy who I think the city can actually believe in. Now, I understand they really felt that they believed in Mitchell Trubisky. And look, the guy was solid in college. But I mean, he was never on the highest stage doing some of the biggest things in college football. Justin Fields has been there, been at 2 very high profile universities, went to the national championship, beat the number 1 quarterback head to head. And if you just look solely at the division right now, the Vikings are still a mess. They might have just drafted their quarterback's replacement. The Lions never can get it done, and that's a team we'll get into in a minute because I did not agree with their draft strategy. And the Packers quarterback is threatening to retire. So while every other place, and also to keep in mind, we have no idea how Jared Goff will play under the Lions system. So literally everywhere in their division, there's a question mark at the quarterback position. And the Bears, now they may say they're going to start with Andy Dalton or go with Andy Dalton, but they actually just might have found the answer to the quarterback issues when they've had the most quarterback issues of anyone in that division. And in one night, and in one single night, they might have the most for sure thing in the moving forward. So I think the Bears, to me, are by far my biggest winner. And then you back that up with getting some offensive line help, a guy who easily could have gone in the first round, and Tevin Jenkins. You get him as a steal in the second round. You then get weapons. You get a Missouri offensive tackle as well. Then you get him a running back and receivers to help. I mean, I don't know what else you can really ask of the Bears. I thought that was, I mean, just such solid drafting. My loser of the draft, listen, I know it's bad to, kick people while they're down, but I'm sorry. The Houston Texans get an F from me. The worst draft of the NFL of this year. The Texans, what are you doing? David Mills, okay. So you're playing hardball with Deshaun Watson. I get that's a very touchy subject, and we don't know what's going to happen. But either way, say they just suspend Deshaun Watson for the whole season. Deshaun Watson is going to play in the NFL again. So are they going to trade him? Are they going to get rid of him? Because according to their owner, they're not going to. So why do you spend your first draft pick of the night? Let's also keep in mind, they didn't even have a first-round draft pick.
Or a second.
Or a second, excuse me. They didn't even draft to the 3rd round. So you use your first pick on a quarterback who is going to back up the guy that you refuse to trade. And then you follow that up with, listen, I know he's your boy, Nico Collins, Michigan. I mean, he's not bad, but I mean, he wasn't one of those top-notch receivers. And there were, in my opinion, better receivers still there when they drafted him. So they didn't even get the highest value receiver after that. I don't know. I just did not think they had a very good draft. They didn't even draft until the 3rd round. I don't believe in the pick that they selected. And then the other picks were just kind of fill out your roster picks, if you will, because I don't think Nico Collins will be playing very much.
Well, he might have to.
Whoa. Yeah, I guess they did. They lost Kenny Stills, so who knows?
Yeah. Yep, I would agree with both of those. I think the Texans were a loser before the draft started. I didn't really care who they got. The fact that they didn't have a pick first or second round, and you would have been 3rd in the first round, you would have had the 35th overall pick in the second round. That's a good way to lose a draft right there. Davis Mills, basically you're telling us we don't know about Deshaun Watson. As much as they'd like to lead on that they do and that he'll be back, that's them telling us we really don't believe that we're gonna have Deshaun Watson back. So yeah, big loser. I like Chicago. All right. Justin Fields, obviously he went to Ohio, so I'm not a huge fan. But it felt different, didn't it? It's very rare that a GM gets to redo a quarterback miss in the draft. It's even rarer that he gets to trade up again. And here's what's different, I think, mostly about the feeling about Fields and the feeling about Trubisky. When they drafted Trubisky, they moved up one spot. They took him over Watson and Mahomes, who were both better in college than Trubisky was. They took Trubisky based on an upside, apparently. I'm sorry for Trubisky, but they took him on an upside. With Fields, they got him fourth. There's quarterbacks in front of him, so the pressure's off there. The only quarterback that they could have taken that the fans will be like, oh, see, why did you take him, is Mac Jones in New England. That's the only one that could outdo him. Instead, with Trubisky, it was, you better be better than these other two guys, because we traded up one spot, gave away way too much to get you ahead of these guys. They don't have that problem with Fields. And Fields is more proven. Fields looks, in my opinion, than when Trubisky came out. So I think the Bears nailed it. I think another NFC team nailed it too. I love the Carolina Panthers draft. I like them getting J.C. Horn. They're kind of creating very quietly another good defensive backfield. Remember that 2015 team with Josh Norman and the boys when they were shutting everything down? Well, J.C. Horn, he's very physical. He's probably going to get called for a few PIs his first year in the NFL. That's, seems to be a trend with rookie defensive backs. But with their pick last year of Chin, J.C. Horn, who I think is a front runner for defensive player or defensive rookie of the year, my mistake, defensive rookie of the year early on. I like that pick. They stole Terrence Marshall in the second round. He went 27th in the second round. I mean, that was my fifth ranked receiver.
I don't know what team.
Terrence Marshall in the second was incredible. Obviously, they got my boy Chuba Hubbard. I don't know how much he's going to play with Christian McCaffrey there.
I don't know about that one.
But they'll probably move on from Mike Davis. Mike Davis earned himself some money last year. They can move on. They'll have a really good backup running back at second. And even on day 3, they got Deontay Brown, the guard from Alabama, who never allowed a sack. They got a cornerback from Washington, Keith Taylor, very good. Davion Nixon, a unanimous All-American defensive tackle, got him in the 5th round too. I mean, I think the Panthers knocked it out of the park, and this is a good thing for the Panthers because they had Matt Rule come in from college. So he's got to see all these guys. He's scouted them. He's recruited them. He's familiar with them. So guys like Urban Meyer for the Jaguars and Matt Rule for the Panthers, who was there, Joe Brady, who's there on staff too, who coached at LSU and got to see all these guys. They have something come draft that none of the other NFL coaches do because they've gotten to see these guys now for 3-4 years, going back to their high school days. So they know what they're capable of. I think the Panthers had an amazing draft. One that I'm not so fond of, the Las Vegas Raiders.
The Raiders.
And I feel like we say this a lot, and I actually don't think this draft is horrible in and of itself. Because the first round pick of Alex Leatherwood, we thought was a little high for where he was as an offensive tackle. Then they got Trevon Merrick in the second round. You said, okay, well, that was the best safety available. Things are actually looking up because you've got both of them. Who cares what order you took them in? That makes no difference. They're both on the team. If you would have flipped the order, everybody would have said, that's a pretty good start. However, after drafting the best safety in the draft, they drafted 2 more safeties, one on day 2, one on day 3. So they drafted 3 safeties. They drafted a cornerback who's converting back from safety that he played in college.
Yeah.
And they drafted an outside linebacker. Now, to be fair, this outside linebacker went to Buffalo, and they're probably missing Khalil Mack a whole bunch in Vegas right now. The Raiders are. But I just don't know if he's the answer for a team that needs pass rush. And as much as you needed to improve at the safety position, it's not like those other 2 guys are going to come in and get much time over Jonathan Abram and Merrick unless Abram gets hurt again. So their draft confused me a little bit. I feel like they didn't address a ton of areas of need. They just addressed one area of need really hard, and there's not going to be enough
DB room
spots
gonna be
for all.
interesting.
They're not going to be enough spots for all of them on the team. So I'm wondering how they're going to make that work. But Gruden's a madman, so maybe he will. And that's the great thing about winners and losers of the draft, is it's never really determined on draft night or the days after. Usually you determine it 2-3 seasons down the road. They're going to have a lot of time with these guys. So who knows? Maybe in 3 years it'll be Gillespie from Mizzou that's the star safety and not Berrig. So, you know, that's just how it goes. But first impression, out the Panthers won, at the Raiders, not so great. Not so great.
Well, speaking of a situation that's not so great, getting back over to the NFC North now, the Green Bay Packers. Listen here, all right? I'm repping the boy AA Ron, but I am very displeased with the Green Bay Packers, and I don't think I've been very shy about it on this show, and I'm really not shy about it in our group. This team continues to spit in this man's face. And then you got idiots like Terry Bradshaw that feel the need to come out and start talking bad on Aaron Rodgers' name. Listen, Bradshaw, you had everything handed to you. You have more career interceptions than you do touchdowns. You had an all-time great defense, weapons all over the place, a good O-line.
Franco Harris.
Like, those are things that I couldn't even, almost all those things I can't even say about Rodgers. He does not have a good defense. He has an all right defense. And go back just about 2-3 years ago, they were horrible. Now he does have some weapons. Devontae Adams, of course. But, I mean, we're just now starting to see Devontae Adams be, you know, argued amongst the top best. He's always been really good. But I think this past season was his first time, I think, being in that, is he the best receiver in the league type of conversation. So we're just now getting that for Adams. Yeah, thank God they re-signed Aaron Jones, but they drafted Aaron Jones as replacement last year in the second round. I don't understand what this team is doing. And what do? They follow up with this past draft, drafting Eric Stokes, not a bad player, but I just do not get it. I don't understand this team. They got him Amari Rodgers, but come on, man. I don't understand it. I don't know where Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing next year. I don't know if he's calling their bluff. I don't know if he really is going to sit here and wait till the GM is fired. But I mean, I'm all the way on team Aaron Rodgers here. This is just stupid. I have never seen a team not want to take care of their star quarterback. Keep in mind, the current MVP of the NFL. How do you mess that up? How do you piss off the MVP of the league? Of any league? I don't get it. I'll never understand it.
This is such a strange situation altogether with Rodgers. And there's been different reports that come out every day. They basically all say the same thing. It's that this is what Rodgers is upset about. Then the next day it's, oh, well, actually, this is what Rodgers was upset about. It's all sort of a culmination that's leading to ultimately what I believe is Rodgers leaving Green Bay for sure, potentially retiring from football, if I'm going to be honest. And that would be really bad for the game. The MVP retires the season after. But if the Packers are in a complete stalemate, it's almost unheard of to get rid of the GM in favor of a player. And as great as Rodgers is, I think the Packers don't believe that because you wouldn't have taken Jordan Love. If you believed he had another 5-6 years in him, you wouldn't have taken Jordan Love. So they're probably not going to get rid of their GM for a quarterback that they believe will be there for fairly short term. I think he's got to be out. It'll probably take a miracle for him to stay in Green Bay, I would say at this point. I would not be shocked if he retired. And like Gannon said, this has been building since it was before last year. Last year, them selecting Jordan Love, I believe, was just another huge leap into Rodgers wanting out of Green Bay. But at the same time, it's hard for me to entirely blame the front office for all of Green Bay's mistakes because, as Gannon alluded to earlier, Green Bay's defenses over the years have been the reason they've been losing these games, not Aaron Rodgers, who elevates everybody and makes all of his Packers teammates better. So they're trying to improve the defense while at the same time alienating their quarterback, and they just never got it right. So this has been something where it's, if you take an offensive player for Rodgers, it'll look good in the short term, but people will wonder, hey, what are you doing to address defense? And then you take defense to try to address a problem on that side of the ball. And then it's, hey, you guys haven't been helping Rodgers like at all. So
okay, but here's the thing. The problem with that is they haven't taken an offensive player in the first round since 2012. 2012 until Jordan Love. That's not like, okay, every now and then we try to help with the 2012. Come on now.
Yeah, that is a pretty impressive number to go all defense in that amount of time. And to, I mean, you'd expect if you got a first round defensive player every year, by this point,
somebody got to be good.
Your defense would be, and they do have pieces on defense. It's interesting. They don't really draft them. Jair Alexander was drafted, but they got Sedarius and Preston Smith via free agent. So I don't know what the plan is. I don't know if they bank on attracting free agents to Green Bay, free agent receivers, with the opportunity to play with Aaron Rodgers and to play in the Packers system, whatever it is. But yeah, there's a lot of mistakes by the front office. And at the end of the day, it's unfortunate for Rodgers because those higher ups, they usually select GM over players. As bad as that is to say, the players are more replaceable than the GM in a lot of their minds. And
I don't know. I did see this kind of floating around. I don't think this will happen, but I saw, what would you think of a possible switch of Russell Wilson for Aaron Rodgers?
It would be interesting.
Saw that floating around a little bit.
That would be in this hypothetical situation. You take Rodgers and you would replace the stellar offensive line that he has with the Wilson weapons, which would definitely be, I don't know if that'd be refreshing for him. I think it would be at the start to be throwing to DK Metcalf and be throwing to Tyler Lockett instead of trying to fit the ball into a double team Devontae Adams. But I think that would be a win for Russell Wilson too. Russell Wilson is probably damn tired of running for his life every game because the Seahawks, there's another front office refusing to do a whole lot for him, not getting him the offensive line help that he asked for. Him running around for his life, he'd probably be perfectly happy dropping back and taking, 2-3 seconds to get the ball out without running around like a chicken with his head cut off in the backfield, throwing passes from 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
You've got 4 guys about to hit you. In this hypothetical situation, I think both guys would be happy at the start, but I think they'd run into the same problem that's alienating the other player at the end of it. This has got to be something that you take care of well before your quarterback ever gets into this situation, which is why the Chiefs, we didn't mention them, and the Chiefs had such an amazing draft, an amazing offseason, because as soon as Mahomes and that offensive line really in the Super Bowl started to show signs of cracking, the Chiefs revamped it all the way. They hit every spot. They got an absolute steal of an offensive guard, an All-American guard in the 7th round, or maybe it was 6th round, wherever. Trey Smith went very late. You got your center for the future. You've signed a bunch of guards. You traded the 31st pick for a proven offensive tackle. And all of a sudden, that weakness became a strength for the Chiefs. They already went and re-signed all their skill position guys. I mean, they did everything in their power to keep him happy early on so that it doesn't get to the situation that they have in Seattle right now, where Wilson's starting to get disgruntled, where Rodgers is not even going to come back to the team. And what's even funnier about Green Bay to me is that Green Bay should be used to dealing with star quarterbacks because they had Brett Favre well before Rodgers got there. And when they drafted Rodgers, Favre was really upset about it. And he said, you know what? You drafted the guy who's going to come in and replace me. I'm going to go somewhere and compete against you because that's not cool with me. And they didn't learn to like give Rodgers a heads up that they were going to take Jordan Love. They weren't like, oh, you know, maybe quarterbacks don't like this. But I can't remember a time in our franchise's history, literally the last quarterback, you had the same problem.
And they're going to get one Super Bowl out of both of them.
Did not. Right, one Super Bowl out of both of these guys. Well, it'll be two combined. But, yeah, really just poorly run. And I saw today, too, another sort of rumor floating around. Aaron Rodgers came out and publicly said he likes the receiver Kumaro that they had. A day after the Packers cut Kumaro, almost as if to say, hey, Rodgers, we're giving you the birds. You want to mess with us, we'll mess with you right back. How are you going to win like that? Nobody wins like that. Rodgers doesn't win, you don't win. You're going to be a villain in Green Bay. Gutekunst, the GM, you're a villain right now. Green Bay loves Rodgers. They don't care for you right now. So this standoff is not going to – I don't think anybody's going to win. I do not think there's a winner in this situation.
Nope. I think Chicago Bears are going to benefit from it, which is why they're my biggest winner from the draft. Because I think the Lions are still going nowhere fast. And the Vikings never get out of their own way. So I think the Bears finally might have a chance. Finally. So, and they're going to value and treasure their quarterback.
Oh, they'd better. They've had a franchise quarterback since before the Super Bowl era.
Yeah.
So they'd better.
They're going to treasure that guy. And I think Justin Fields is going to be up for the job. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in Green Bay. We'll continue to cover it. I'm going to continue to support my man. I can't. Aaron Rodgers is my boy. I'm going to keep supporting him. Who knows where he ends up? I just want him out. And I've been saying that since before last year. I want him out of there. It's just dumb. It's very dumb what's going on there. So no one, like you said, no one's winning from this situation. And Aaron Rodgers might be done with all of football, which deprives all NFL fans, whether you love him or hate him, because people love to hate him. So either way, there's some love involved with Aaron Rodgers, and this is just not it. So we'll continue to monitor that in the coming weeks. But we have to transition over now to the NBA as boy, I can tell you from one, my team just gives me head. I guess Toby can say the same too. Headaches. Just absolute headaches. I don't know what's going on with the Lakers. I mean, we got LeBron back. We got AD back finally.
Kind of.
Yeah, LeBron's still hurt. Now he's publicly stating that he may never get back to where he used to be. Well, we don't need to hear that right now. No one needs to hear that in the middle of the regular season that you may never be 100% again. Bro, let's get to the playoffs and go from there. But yeah, the Lakers not doing so hot. The Celtics currently right now sit in the 7th spot, so they're in the play-in, which is very dangerous territory. So both of our teams are not doing too hot, but I should give a kind of recap here. So the Philadelphia 76ers, they still currently hold the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, followed by the Nets and Bucks. And then the New York Knicks have finally clinched a playoff spot. I don't even know when the last time they did. It's the first time in a while. But my goodness, who would have thought the Knicks are here in the playoffs since what, Melo in what, 2010? Something like that.
I think it was, yeah, I think I saw 2013.
Oh, third.
Was their last year with a winning record.
Goodness.
So
yeah, so congratulations to the New York Knicks. And then how about the Hawks? You know, the Hawks were a team that after they drafted Trae Young, you thought, you know, maybe they'll be on the come up. Then they were very bad last year. And now all of a sudden they're right back in the playoffs, followed by the last year's runner-ups, the Heat, then the 6th spot. And then, as we alluded to earlier, we have the 7 seed Celtics, the Hornets, Pacers, and Wizards. So to round out the East. And then the West, the Jazz they're trying to hang on. The Suns are giving them everything they can handle for that 1 seed. But the Jazz still are in first place, followed by the Suns. And then the Nuggets, who actually just dropped a game to the Lakers, they are in the 3rd seed, followed by the Clippers. And then my Lakers are there. And then it's dicey between the Lakers are 5th, the Mavericks are 6th, and then the Trailblazers are 7th. So those 3 teams are all a game a piece from each other. So any given night, if that team loses and the other 2 win, you can go from 5th to 7th just like that, which is really not what you want. You do not want to be part of this play-in for this year, which LeBron has very publicly come out against. He said whoever decided that should be fired. I highly disagree with that, but that's here or there. Who do you see making a final push as we go into the postseason that could be a potential really dangerous threat when come playoff time?
Will you allow me to be biased?
Go ahead.
So the Celtics right now sit at 7, and that's a horrible spot to be. However, they've been on sort of a losing kick after they had sort of righted the ship. As soon as Kemba Walker got hurt and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum started missing games that the other wasn't playing in, they started losing. Anyway, their final few games here consist of games against the Magic, horrible, the Bulls, easily beatable, the Cavaliers, very beatable, the Timberwolves should be tanking. Then they've got 2 against the Heat, who are 1 spot ahead. And actually, if the Celtics win tomorrow, they'll be tied in record. And then their last game comes down against the New York Knicks.
Oof.
So there's a chance to go in with a ton of momentum. And in the East, the real race between all these teams, because the Knicks, the Heat, the Hawks, and the Celtics are not separated by that many games. What you want to do in the East is you want to race for that 5 spot, that 4 and 5 spot, because that guarantees in the first round you don't play the 76ers, the Nets, and the Bucks, who are a tier above. So whichever team has the easiest route to get that 4-5 spot could really make some noise, because you're going to play against the 76ers, who we've seen in the postseason a lot of times have wilted and withered. Now they're on a different level this year. Embiid's nice. Seth Curry can shoot the ball for him, which is something that they've never had, at least with Embiid and Simmons there. So that's very nice for them. But you want to get that spot because you want to avoid at all costs playing the Nets. And so whichever one of those teams in the 4 or 5 spot in the East, which I think at the end of the year could be the Celtics, I mean, you've got a pretty favorable path. If you're going to be a lower seed that makes noise, it's going to have to come that way out of the East. And out West, it's kind of a cop-out, but the Lakers, I mean, they're tied with the Mavericks right now for 5th. They're that 5-6. They're too good to be that low of a seed. And once they're healthy, they'll show that again. So that's a pretty big cop-out answer because they'll probably play a team that they'll be favored in a series. In the second round, it'll be like the 2 seed. But yeah, out West, that's a war out West, man. I'm happy my team's in the East, I'll tell you that. Because out West is an absolute war at the top.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's so crazy is, I mean, if the season ended today, everyone talks about Battle LA. We would play the Clippers first round.
Yeah.
That was everybody's semifinals preseason pick. And we would play them first round. Could you imagine that? See,
that would be so much fun.
It would be fun, but at the same time, I feel like after that, the winner of that series would just feel untouchable. Like the team that you have been basically gearing up for all offseason, especially after what happened in the playoffs last year, you've already beaten that team in the first go around. I feel like nothing will get you to that height again until you get to the finals. So every other team you play after that will just be like, not that it doesn't matter. It's just they're not the same. The Suns are just not the same as the Clippers.
Right. That is kind of the danger though. If that series does happen, that next round, if you go in and you think, well, we just beat either one of those LA teams, we just beat LA, then you go play the Suns. They're kind of the dangerous ones because none of those Suns guys outside of Chris Paul and Jay Crowder know what playoff basketball is about. So they're going to go in. It's just going to be basketball for them. They I don't think any of them quite understand the gravity of a game one, game two, type scenario. So they're just going to go out there, play the same basketball they've played all year. I that's why I'm really excited for the West because the top seeds this year, I don't expect any letdown from them, but the bottom seeds are almost just as talented as the top seeds. So there's not going to be letdown from those teams at the top, but the teams at the bottom, they know what it takes to win. Well, not even the bottom, the teams in the middle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it looks like it's going to be so much fun this year. I really hope the Celtics can get on a roll. I would love nothing more than to play the Knicks first round in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I would love nothing at a Boston, New York first round playoff series. Yeah, it'd be nice to bring the Knicks back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, give it to them. They're finally in the playoffs.
See, this is kind of it's all setting up, and I hate to. I'm trying not to get my hopes too high up because, I mean, the Celtics this year have been a real disappointment to me. But the way it's shaping up right now is, if we finish the way we should against these teams and we win the games we should, we could get the Knicks first round. We could get New York. Then we could get Philadelphia. And if you pull off the big upset against Philadelphia, you get to play Brooklyn in the conference finals. What a ride that would be. So much fun. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to the NBA, like even more come playoff time now, even though my team is in the danger zone. And of course, Connor, he's not looking forward to the play-in tournament because he doesn't like it.
So
it's the one way that he's going to get to see the Pacers play extra games.
Yeah, that's the one way they get in.
Because he loves to brag to us after the Pacers win. And the Pacers lose.
Which we don't care about.
Right, and the Pacers lose, and it's
crickets.
Everybody. Man, I don't think I could stomach another Pacers game. We just have nobody playing. Well, okay. Then don't talk to us when they win then.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. This is a Creed topic. We should save it for a Creed moment. But yeah, his team, they could potentially sneak in to the postseason via the play-in tournament.
All I know is if they have to play the Wizards, I mean, I will be very anti-Indiana that day.
Jeez, he's a big whiz guy.
No, I'm more. I mean, Russell Westbrook is one of my favorite players, and then of course my boy Bradley Beal.
Right.
I mean, those two on the same team.
Our guy Rui Hachimura. Yeah. No, but good for the Wizards though.
I know. Based on that, dude, remember when they couldn't guard a parked car?
Yeah. They went on a huge run. They had they have the second longest winning streak in the NBA this season.
Yeah.
Nice. It got them their second longest winning streak to 5 games under 500, which is good enough to get them a chance to go for that play-in spot.
You could be the Rockets. Lose 20-something in a row.
Right. That's, yeah. Tank for Cade, though. Tank for Cade. Good for the Rockets, I guess.
Oof. That's so bad. That is just so bad.
This is the part of the year where we kind of tune out all the bad teams, and then we remember them again when the lottery balls are picked during the Western Conference Finals on ESPN right before the game starts. We're like, oh, yeah. Remember that when the Timberwolves played this year? That was cool.
They got the number 1 overall pick, and I think they They might have gotten worse.
They did somehow get worse. And Karl Anthony Towns came back, and they're like playing all right. Like their number 1 overall pick is averaging 18 points. Cat's there. D'Angelo Russell's back to playing.
And they have 20 total wins.
I think they're just cursed.
Yeah, dude, they're doomed. They are doomed.
One of our very good listeners, who's probably listening right now, became so fed up with the Timberwolves after being a fan for, I think, 3 seasons, that he is now a Denver Nuggets fan.
What?
He has made the transition into Denver for his guy Nikola Jokic. Completely. Well,
what are you talking about?
Not completely. His name, it's anonymous.
Oh,
but it rhymes with rack. Rack scale. Is what it rhymes with.
Oh, he's over there.
He's not in the room. I know he'll listen in, and I know he agrees. He's not completely done with the Wolves, but he is. I mean, he's a Nuggets fan now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. It'd be very hard to be a Timberwolves fan.
Oh,
you have nothing. You have absolutely nothing to brag about.
Anthony Edwards might win Rookie of the Year. So,
all right, I guess there's that for you.
Yeah, and they didn't. We didn't talk about this yet. This will be my last thing on NBA. They did not have the worst home loss in the NBA of all time this year. That was a different team in the West, the Oklahoma City Thunder. This was the game that Connor really loved to brag with us about, because the Pacers beat the Thunder 152-95. Now the Thunder had their roster's already bad, but they didn't have their 5 best players playing. And it really showed. I mean, this was, if you wanted to know what NBA versus G League would look like if they lined up,
bro.
That was the game. The very next game, the Pacers play, by the way, they allow 154 points. So, like, the difference between G League and NBA, folks, there it is.
Yeah, we'll see. We still got a couple more weeks for the playoffs to get going. So, but yeah, definitely this was good to kind of highlight the races that are coming for these spots, because you get into a little losing streak, you're gonna be finding yourself in the play-in, and that's not where you want to be right now. So, but a position you do want to be in is where the Kansas City Royals are currently at, sitting atop of the AL. Well, technically, I guess they're, what do you consider them, tied with the Red Sox? They have 1 less win, but 1 less loss as well. So they were actually better than the Red Sox. I guess, however, better winning percentage. However, since our script was written, they were surpassed by the Oakland Athletics. Oof. Womp womp. Yeah, so we are a half game back from the Oakland Athletics for best record in the American League, just like everyone predicted. Oh, yes. The A's, the Royals, and the Red Sox. Totally. All 3. We knew. No, but all 3 of those teams are playing incredible baseball right now. The Royals' defense is very concerning given their last series. I mean, they gave up a lot of runs, but I mean, still, they're just finding ways to win ball games. And what's actually crazy is the games that they are winning are pretty convincing. So they're playing some pretty dominant baseball, and I know everyone who listens is probably not the biggest Kansas City Royals fan, but listen, we're going to talk about it because that's our home city. It's tatted in my skin, okay? We're going to talk about the Royals here, and I am proud because there was a member of our podcast that didn't believe the Royals could get to 70 wins. And we are well on track to get 70. And I believe I predicted that we could get up to 80 or close to it. So, our current pace actually puts us for 98 wins this year. Yeah. At the current pace. Now, I don't think we'll be doing all that, but never say never. Get well over 70, and I do think that this team can be over 80. I think really too, and everyone here in Kansas City, they've been saying on the the radio stations that this team kind of feels like the 2013 Royals, the season before we got to the World Series the first time, and I kind of agree with that. But the thing is about that team is they were good, but like I feel like they didn't know it. It wasn't until that following year that they were like, oh, we're freaking good. So I think this team needs to now, especially that we're over a month in, transition into, okay, we're already kind of exceeding expectations to be, no, we're that freaking good. Because that's how we were in 2014 when we went to the World Series. Unfortunately, we lost. But then we just used that fuel as 15, and we just were the best team in baseball, hands down. I mean, it was no debate about it. So I think they can start turning over into that mindset that, all right, we're done being like the shock of the season and into the expectation. Man, look, I said 2024 might be a little early if we're doing that.
There's a lot to love about this Royals team. I love the additions that the team has made. It's nice that we went out and we spent money in the offseason, because this is unlike our 2013 team where we were almost all homegrown because we were so bad before that. I mean, we were so bad. We kept getting good draft picks. You're going to hit on a few of those guys and they're going to form an amazing team. We had to break the band up. This team here has a chance to stay together for a long time because we've got a good blend of guys that we've brought in that won a lot in other places. And we've got a good blend of young guys because we still, since that 2015 team, have been, we'll say, below average. So we're getting extremely talented players. I mean, the most talented guy in the entire system probably isn't even on the team yet. Isn't even on the actual Royals. He's still playing in AAA.
Which is insane.
There's a lot to love about this Royals team. I love the position we're in. I want to talk about another surprising team before we move on. The San Francisco Giants, the team, ironically, who we lost to in 2014, they've come out of nowhere too. They're the best team in the National League right now. And really, the Cardinals are a game back. I don't even think it's that close when you watch the teams play, because the Cardinals are sort of inconsistent, up and down all over the place. And they happen to get a good stretch where they played the Pirates. So very fortunate scheduling. But the San Francisco Giants, added to an already stacked NL West, is going to bring a ton of intrigue if they're as good as they look right now as well. Because it's the same thing with the Royals. The White Sox and Twins were World Series favorites out of the AL Central. So if they're as good, and they do become as good as they think they are midseason, but the Royals are for real, the AL Central becomes the division to watch. The National League West, everybody said it's between the Dodgers and the Padres. And here's the San Francisco Giants. You throw in a third team in a division like that, oh man, that's some fun baseball. That's a lot of fun baseball. I would love if the Royals and Giants met in the World Series again. I don't think it'll happen this year, but
right or wrong. Right or wrong.
That could be a next year World Series. These guys don't have to go anywhere. So that's the other team that I wanted to talk about, because we love KC, obviously, but we've got to spread some wealth to the rest of the country too.
We do.
I mean, you could talk about Mike Trout for days. Talk about how Ronald Acuna is the first to double-digit home runs, all that. There's one thing I do want to get your opinion on. You catch any of that Yankees-Astros game tonight?
Oh, yeah, I've been watching it the whole time.
The Trastros' first trip back to New York.
Oh, yeah.
With the fans in the stands.
I love it. Booed them. Now they did get a home run off of us, off rip. But Stanton quickly quieted that with an absolute monster shot. And we just ran it up from there.
Yeah, public service announcement. Stanton is back. Stanton.
Our bats are back. I trashed them. Weren't they my "What did you doing" on our last episode?
Sure were.
Bro, all right, the bats are back. The bats are back. They're not bats to our expectation, but they're They're getting there.
I'm putting my Giancarlo Stanton. I almost called him Mike. Oof, his old name, Giancarlo Stanton, officially on the all the way back list. Things that are all the way back. The Astros, they'll never be on the all the way back list.
No.
I loved them talking about it tonight in the broadcast. And they said, how many times are the Astros going to have to apologize before baseball forgets?
Never.
Never. Because it's up to the fans. And the fans know that there's an undeserving World Series champion. And we'll never forget it.
No,
and I never say this, but I love the Yankees fans tonight. They brought the energy, we'll call it screw Altuve chants for this podcast. That's not what they were saying in New York. The screw Altuve chants that you could hear on ESPN. That got me going because these guys didn't get punished at all by the league. They didn't have to face fans last season. So I love that we're not quitting with the anti-Astros energy. We got to check on our guy on Twitter, the Astros Shame Tour.
Oh, yeah.
See what's
I've seen that.
We got to see what's going down on his. He had a lot of content to pick from tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're still waiting on our first brawl with the Astros. Somebody to really just brawl with them.
Well, the league protects them, though. You throw at them one time, you get suspended.
This is when the NHL's health and safety coordinator can come in for the MLB, just completely overlook it. I saw today the Reds and the Cubs got into a very minor skirmish, and they suspended a Reds pitcher for 7 games.
What? That's more than what's his name for the Reds when he got in a beef with the Cardinals.
By the way, the Reds have a ton of baseball beef, and I love it. If you're not going to be a great team, at least be entertaining. And they've been in so many fights in the past, so good work by the Reds. But it sucks. I don't think we're going to get to see the big, bench clearing brawls against the Astros like I was hoping to see this year, where teams would go out and fight them, have the fans fired up in the back. Because if you get suspended 7 games for the minor stuff like that, no players are going to want to put themselves on the line. So
for weeks,
that was unfortunate.
Yeah, we'll have to.
And we here at Sports Resort don't condone violence unless it gets results. And maybe the Astros need a good beating.
Well, we gave them a good beating tonight. We whooped them.
See, but that's bad for the Rays because now the Yankees are on a roll. There's just no winning when the Astros are involved.
Except for them cheating.
Which I don't consider winning. I consider it cheating.
Yeah, that's very true.
But
well, there's one thing I feel like I was cheated at, and that's the division that the New York Rangers play in, because we are now officially eliminated from the playoffs. It's the big sad. But I can't be this mad about the season. We went into this season knowing, and I said this way before when I picked this team, probably not going to make the playoffs. We can make a decent showing of ourselves, and that's exactly what that's exactly what we did. We went out there, got 58 points, which would have gotten us to the playoffs in 3 out of the 3 out of the 4 divisions. We got to the playoffs. So, we're just unfortunate to be in this central division, the East division. It is what it is. So the Rangers are going to miss the playoffs this year, but with 58 points, that's definitely something we can hang our hat on and, use as fuel for next year. I find it very funny that the Blackhawks not only remember when they were, according to Connor, on the precipice of getting the 4th spot, they end up falling all the way 6th and possibly the 7th spot.
I do find that rather interesting.
It's pretty funny.
We said it all along that they weren't for real. By the way, when they were the 4, the Dallas Stars had played 8 less games than them because they had a COVID outbreak. So Connor's like, we're still at 4th. The Stars just have to lose a whole bunch. Yeah, they have to lose 8 in a row, Connor. That's not going to happen. And now here we are. That last spot's up for grabs, and the Blackhawks are not a part of it.
Nope.
Coming down between the Predators, EDP's favorite hockey team, and
out of pocket.
What? It might be.
Out of pocket.
He's probably a Flyers fan if you think about it, but the Predators and Stars. That's going to be a great finish, by the way. The Predators have one game in hand and are up by 2 points. So if the Stars win, they would be tied at 60 points, 53 games left, or my mistake, 53 games left, 3 games left. With that 4th spot in the playoffs on the line, the first 3 teams in that division are absolutely unreal.
Yeah.
So good luck to them when they get to the playoffs. I don't know if that's the way that they're doing it or if they're going to reseed everything. But yeah, so there's going to be some good division races here. Yeah. The North is not settled yet. We think we know who the teams will be because Vancouver has to make up a ton of games. They're going to be playing basically every other night with a bunch of guys out because of health and safety protocols. So I guess the NHL's health and safety guy got one thing right. But we think we know the teams, but there's a lot of jockeying for positions, spots in the playoffs, seeding and all that. So it should be an exciting last few games, unless you're Vancouver and then you know, your last 10 games. Everybody else is down in their last like 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Vancouver's got 10 left. Not the spot you wanted to be in. But no. Canadians love their hockey, so this will be a wild ride for them.
Yeah, and I guess you can say unfortunate for us, as we always prey on our friends' team's downfall, I guess. Montae's team is back in first place. They do have a game up on the Avalanche, but it is worth mentioning the Vegas Golden Knights are back in first place over in the West. So I have no real beef with the Knights. It's just fun to root against Montae's team. It's fun to root against Montae's team because he just hopped on the new team's bandwagon and they happen to be really, really good.
Yeah, it was. We hadn't heard Montae say anything about the Knights until they were in the Stanley Cup Finals. Then the next year they were his favorite team.
Dude, he saw their intro to the NHL Finals that one night and was like, "Yo, look how dope this is. This is my favorite team moving forward."
Yeah, pretty interesting how that works out. Now I picked my favorite team off a video game when I was like 7 years old, so that's how I got my favorite team. But yeah, Montae's team will be the only one of ours that will make the playoffs this year, as all of our teams have been eliminated. So we'll at least have one common enemy in the postseason. The Vegas Golden Knights.
One common enemy. I'm not gonna lie, it would be kind of fun to root against them.
We do it. Well, our group, we have a bad habit here at the sports resort where if something is going really well for one person's team, like we want them to fail so bad. Like we could have no beef with them whatsoever. If Florida football was undefeated and they were going to the SEC championship to play against Alabama,
Connor would definitely root for Alabama.
Our group would cheer for Alabama, and I know at least me and Connor do not like Alabama football, and we would be cheering for them just because our friend on the other side is going to be obnoxious if they win. So we're like, oh, we can't let that happen. It's a vicious cycle here at the sports resort, but it's one we fallen into. I'm going to try to break it. I'm going to try my best to be upbeat about all of our teams, except Montae's Broncos and the Knights, Connor St. Louis teams, Indiana. I think I covered them all. I think I pretty much got them all.
I was not praying, even though we even are division rivals. I was not praying on the Rays' downfall.
It's I think it's hard as a Yankees fan to put on the Rays' downfall, because the Rays are that team that most normal Yankees fans forget about. And then last year we were somehow good. Well, not somehow. I knew it would be good, but it comes around very seldom that we're that good. So I feel like the Yankees and the Red Sox fans, they just sort of forget. And then at the end of the year, they're like, "Oh, Rays had a pretty good season." So, yeah,
I played a little baseball.
Right. It'd be like me as a Michigan fan cheering against Rutgers basketball, being like diehard, just God, I hope nothing goes right for Rutgers. They finished like 8th in the Big Ten. You're like, it's too high. That's too damn high. Like that doesn't happen. That's not who we are.
No, not at all.
So, how does hockey always turn into a conversation about other sports?
Every time. It does every time.
Every time.
One sport that we hardly ever talk about, but we have to talk about. It was from this past weekend where my main man attended the Kentucky Derby. Aaron Rodgers was there in attendance. Tom Brady, like Toby said earlier, dressed like a criminal back in the day.
He did an old-timey bank robbery.
And Aaron Rodgers was there to capture him. Aaron Rodgers was out there looking like a cop.
He does. He rocks the stash.
Yeah.
He rocks that stash.
Those guys are good. Made very good appearances at the Kentucky Derby. But we got to give a major shout out to the winner. Medina Spirit wins 147th running of the Kentucky Derby. Trainer Bob Baffert wins his 7th Kentucky Derby. What are you doing to win 7 of these? That is insane.
This man is around horses all day.
Too much.
Like, to be this good, to be a trainer that's this good. And by the way, when you win the Kentucky Derby, you take home an unbelievable amount of money. So not only is this guy unbelievably rich after winning 7 of these things and having all these other horses that win all the other races, I feel like if I made that much money, I wouldn't just be standing around a stable all day. But this guy is a trainer.
He's determined.
Unreal. I watched an ESPN special about him, and if you get on ESPN, their daytime programming, that's usually the LeBron hour. If you get on that to have a story done on you, you're doing some good things, especially in a sport like horse racing, where you rarely ever see it mentioned. I like that after he won his 7th Kentucky Derby, he said he felt like Tom Brady, who had just won his 7th Super Bowl, because he's in rarefied air. There's only a few people that could ever say 7 championships. Of course, Bob Baffert, the greatest trainer of all time. Tom Brady, the greatest football player of all time. And Robert Ory, who played basketball.
One of the greatest contributing players.
One of the greatest role player of all time. But we all picked horses before the race started. I actually put down a bet using not my own money. It was my dad's money on Twin Spires. He placed a bet for me.
Not much.
So obviously he would have taken a cut. All of us were way off.
Well,
right?
Mine wasn't even close.
Medina Spirit, 15-1 odds to win. Sort of near the top of the odds list. The betting favorite, who Connor picked after saying that all of us hated upsets, picked the favorite. The favorite didn't finish in the place or the show, which is 2nd or 3rd. So huge oof to Connor, the underdog man, who went favorite.
4th.
He did. He finished 4th, so he finished just outside the show or the place in the show. My pick, known agenda, not very good. I knew it was going to be a long shot when you had to start at the number 1 post position, because as soon as you start there, that horse is just getting run right into the rail.
Yeah, you need to get out to a great start.
Yeah, you had to be amazing. But he did have the world's best jockey, Irad Ortiz, on him. I read all this stuff before, so I'm not just making this up. Like these are actual horses and names. I did some research.
The horse I picked was highly motivated, and they were not motivated to get anywhere near the top.
Yeah, not motivated enough. They were highly motivated, just not the most motivated. If it was most motivated, then you would have had a really good pick.
Yeah.
But
highly motivated to crush people's dreams.
Crush your dreams. Did you put money on it?
No, I did not. I almost did.
Yeah.
Luckily,
but
I'm not.
Yeah, good thing.
I didn't put my heart. I didn't search enough the numbers to do all that.
See, well, next race, I believe is the Preakness is the second leg, correct?
You asking the wrong person about that.
I believe it's.
Look, I consider myself very knowledgeable about the world of sports, but when you start asking me stuff about horse racing, you lose me.
Yeah, I learned a ton about sports or horse racing betting over the weekend.
Even know who Bob Baffert was. That's how bad I was.
Dude, I think I could name. I think two. I think I comfortably know two trainers in the entire sport of horse racing.
I didn't even know that guy was the one who owned American Pharaoh.
I picked
goat of all goats.
I picked Known Agenda because it was the other trainer that I knew, and he had the one jockey that I knew. So I said, you know what? These guys must be really good if even I know them.
And then
but pushed to the rail. I just want to let everybody know that Preakness is the second leg. It's not run till October 3rd, so a lot can change in that time. Yeah, a long wait for the second leg of the Triple Crown. But if that date comes, I'm gonna pick Known Agenda again because it's the trainer that I know. It's the jockey that I know.
I can tell you right now, I'm not picking highly motivated. They ain't motivated enough in that camp.
You gotta see, these horses might not even be running in that race, which is gonna be unfortunate. But if they are,
they ain't motivated enough. What the heck was that?
Mark it down right now. Known Agenda, October 3rd, the Preakness. He's winning that race.
Bro,
if he doesn't win that one, then I'm still gonna pick him to win the Belmont the third leg.
Bro, if you get that right, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah, okay. So because we never get to talk about this, so I've got one really good story. It was when I was really young, and my dad, he loves betting the ponies, and he told me to just out of the blue, told me to randomly pick a horse, and so I was like, oh, I don't know. I was so young, I didn't know anything about these horses. I just saw the names and said, what name is cool? There's a horse named Empire Maker. I picked him. I picked him to win. And I believe it was the Belmont. I believe it was the third leg of the Triple Crown. And sure enough, Empire Maker wins the Belmont. It's now my gamer tag on PlayStation 4. So, a little backstory there. I do much better outside of the Kentucky Derby. I'm, more of a Preakness and Belmont guy myself. So.
Oh my gosh. You're better at certain legs than others.
It's true. It all depends on where it's at. I consider myself sort of like a Northeastern guy. I like the Patriots and Celtics. So when they race that up in New York, I'm more in tune with that one. It just makes more sense to me.
I gotcha. Well, I'm kind of glad we got a chance to talk about the horse racing. We rarely ever get a chance to do it. So that was fun. I'll definitely be tuning in October, I guess, for the second leg.
We've got to get like a big group. We got to
go get fitted and go.
Oh, go up there.
Oh well, no, not to the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, we definitely have to go
for the next one, yeah.
All right, we definitely got to go to a Kentucky Derby at some point in time. I'm gonna find the most insane hat.
Dude, I'm going all out. Oh, it's gonna be great. We gotta make that happen. But
I hope it doesn't rain.
But are you worried about rain a year from now?
Well, I'm just thinking because I was thinking everybody else wears like super nice but huge hats. I'm gonna wear the biggest, like foamiest orange hat Like, I'm gonna stick
Oh,
out
no,
so
never
bad.
mind. I ain't going with you no more. You gonna cause a scene. You gonna cause a scene. I ain't going with you no more.
Bro, nobody behind me is going to see any of the race. This hat's gonna be so big.
Yeah, you gonna cause a scene.
How much does that hat hold? 5,000 gallons.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of causing scenes, we got to get to the Creed moment. A lot of people out there acting like our good friend Connor Evan, and we're not gonna stand for it. So this is our favorite part of the show. Welcome to your Creed moment. I'll actually go first this time because I have my Creed moment.
Uh-oh.
And this is gonna actually hurt the other two co-hosts on our show, because my Creed moment goes out to the Denver Broncos, aka Montae's favorite team. They are my Creeds of the week after selecting Patrick Surtain 10th overall in the draft. Obviously a very good player, worthy of being a top 10 selection, but just not the pick that the Broncos needed. They have gotten slammed all over the place for that draft pick. It made absolutely no sense. Montae even alluded to it on our live stream that they had picked up 3 different corners during free agency. And to make matters worse, not only did the Broncos draft 1 corner, I'm pretty sure they drafted a 2nd corner. So, or maybe they drafted a safety, excuse me. So they drafted another defensive back.
They drafted 2 consecutive safeties.
Yeah, I just don't understand. Yeah, they did. Yeah, that's what it was. They drafted 2 safeties when they just signed Justin Simmons to a big time deal. Denver, this is your Creed moment, because you guys, Connor always loves to give us, some sob story about how his franchises have stabbed him and their fans in the back. They do that to him. He's always whining. Well, this is now the Broncos' turn to repay the favor over to Montae, as this man was getting ready to leave Toby's house live on air because of the Denver Broncos selection, which I just don't understand it. That was not the pick they needed. They didn't even, to make matters worse, they didn't even draft a quarterback. Everyone thought they would take a quarterback first round. They didn't take a quarterback at all. So not only did they not even take one of the top guys, they didn't even address that position at all.
It's actually funny you mention it.
Major.
The Broncos' top 3 draft needs were quarterback, inside linebacker, center, of which they addressed
Not
0. They did get an offensive guard who they could move to center. And the 5th draft need was a cornerback. And
they took that first.
And they delivered on those 2. So if their 4th and 5th needs were what they were targeting, then job well done for the Broncos.
Yeah, the Denver Nation is disappointed. I think they're praying to their gods that they can somehow pull Aaron Rodgers, but it doesn't sound like that's going to happen now.
Yep, that's what they've got to pray for, though. Now, my Creed moment, I'd say I'm pretty infamous by now about picking huge names for my Creed moment. We've had a Coach K Creed moment. We've had some of the biggest names in sports as my Creeds. And this one is no different. And it's actually going to hurt Creed's feelings super hard. Because my Creed moment of the week goes to LeBron James.
Oh, no.
So LeBron James, and this could be taken out of context because I don't know what he meant. All right. 2020, LeBron James loved the idea of a play-in tournament. The Lakers were, the 2 seed? The 1 seed?
We were the 1
seed.
seed.
They were the 1 seed. So they were in no danger of missing the playoffs whatsoever. He said, you know what? It's a shortened season. I love the idea of having the play-in tournament. Well, this year, it's a shortened season by 10 games. More so, than last year's was by the time the regular season finished. Actually, going to be even shorter for some teams. I mean, some teams didn't even get invited to the bubble. Knicks. But he hates it this year because his team is a few games away. They're not far away from being. They're very far away from being ninth, so they would be in, but they're not very far off that play-in spot. And he's missing time, and the team's struggling. And now whoever created it should be fired. And you were a huge fan 12 months ago.
Not even, because you had to think.
All right, that was just over the fall.
That was July.
Look at that. So here's where it becomes a Creed moment for me, right? You can't have it both ways, LeBron. It can't be whenever it's good for me, that it's a great thing. But whenever this might affect me negatively, then it's a bad thing. And you just have to go back to I don't even know which episode it was. It was a while ago, where Creed is talking about super teams in the NBA and how bad it is for the league, but how absolutely fired up Creed is right now that the Chiefs have signed everybody and that the Chiefs have bolstered the whole team, that they're going to trade for Julio Jones. So there's no problem with a super team there. But there is a problem when his NBA franchise can't create a super team, because you can't have it one way and then have it the other the next year based on when it fits you. And LeBron and Connor are the same in that aspect and only that aspect.
Okay.
And only that aspect. Only that aspect.
Make that very clear.
Right. Yeah, no, he's LeBron, and our friend Connor, we're putting in right field for slow pitch softball.
Co-ed slow pitch softball.
Yeah, right. Co-ed slow pitch softball. He's our right fielder. So
just because he needs to stay out of the way.
I hope another team doesn't have a bunch of lefties.
Oh man.
But in this instance though, because LeBron, who now that it's a problem for him, it's a problem with the league. But it would have never have been a problem if it didn't affect LeBron. We probably wouldn't have been hearing about it. And he could have been meaning, because we're coming back and it's in this bubble environment, I like the idea. Maybe it was that. But the way that it comes off is that now that the Lakers might have to play in it, LeBron James is very much against it. He would rather just get to the playoffs, not have to do the whole play-in tournament thing. And it's kind of making him sound like...
We need to be a top 6 seed then.
Right. I mean, that's just more incentive for you to come back and, win out these last few games so you avoid that play-in tournament.
I agree.
So, yeah, for him to come out and say whoever created it needs to be fired, I mean, that's a Creed moment right there.
Yeah, LeBron was definitely in his feels. I think he was mad because we lost the game. They interviewed him right after we lost. And now everyone's like, oh, are you guys going to play in the play-in? So I think he was in his feelings.
Which is also a Creed thing.
Connor's always in his feelings. And then if he says something negative about a player or team we like and we defend them, he says our group chat is sensitive. And he's by far the most sensitive.
Yeah, so this is stemming from a conversation we had about Fernando Tatis, because Connor is
it would be
on
funny
record saying
to see him fail.
Right, he said, yeah, it was. And Creed is not going to phrase it that way. He's not going to come out and say that he phrased it that way, but pretty much he said it would be funny if Tatis failed because of how much money he has. And then he sent us a meme where it was basically saying Tatis is not as good.
As a cycle for being bad when he's 22 years old.
Yeah, so he sent us that. Then I pointed out, actually. I just said, man, Creed really does not like Tatis. Is basically what I said. And then he called us soft. I was like, you don't like Tatis.
No.
He might act like he likes Tatis, but he doesn't, and we know that. And that goes for everybody in our group. This isn't just a Connor moment. But we talked about it. It's very obvious who we do and don't like. right? I mean, I know.
I don't
Gannon
lie
doesn't
about
like-
it.
Right, I know Gannon doesn't like Tom Brady. Like that doesn't like hurt
I
my
respect
feelings.
Tom Brady.
See, that doesn't hurt my feelings. I know where Gannon stands on it, and I'd say I'm pretty clear on where I stand on people too. You know, I'm not a fan of AD, and they know that.
Ooh.
So when I share something that's anti-AD, they're like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." Because I'm not pro AD. Not since he went to the Lakers anyway. You know, that's how rivalries work. But yeah,
Don't hate on Tatis and then deny it.
Yeah, we got way off topic. If he doesn't like Tatis, that's fine, you know, by me. But like, I just pointed out, I was like, because really what I was trying to do is I was trying to get Montae to go at him. You know, I'm like that meme that you see on Twitter, Mark Phillips antagonizer, when he's getting ready for the Olympics. Because I was really saying it to try to get Montae, the new Padres fan, to try to come in and respond to Connor talking about Tatis, but alas, it was only me and Gannon. Well, really, it was Gannon and Connor that were going back and forth.
I'm gonna defend Tatis. That's my guy.
Gannon loves Tatis. I'm more of an Acuna guy, but
I mean, Aaron Judge is still my favorite player, but Tatis is my guy. My guy. But for my final thought, I want to talk about my team. The Manchester City. You see the jersey in the back. Got my name on it. We are going to the Champions League final, a tournament that Man City themselves tried to leave, that now has been, I guess, disbanded. Or, well, I don't know, it's still in the works. We'll see. But they're finally there. I was going to take this time to celebrate. I put money down way back when. I think it was in either December or January. I did. I put not a whole lot, but a decent little bit of money that Man City would win it all. And they had, I think they were like plus 250 or plus 300. So, and I put a little decent cash on it. But we're there. We are in the final. Put my money where my mouth is, literally. And we are in the final, and I couldn't be happier.
wow.
Actually, I will be a lot happier if Chelsea wins tomorrow.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit harder to cheer against Man City now, but I'm still gonna do it for our guys. You know, Man U. I gotta cheer against Man City. We do have a great opportunity in soccer, though.
Not if Chelsea wins. Y'all hate Chelsea too.
It'd be tough. I think, me personally, I would cheer for Chelsea over Man City. Mostly because, well, we share the city, and I don't want no damn parade in our town. That's not for us.
You don't even live there.
I know, but it's the principle.
Like, I can't be mad about a New York Mets parade because I don't want to. I mean, I won't root for the Mets.
Oh, okay, but what if the Clippers did it?
I mean, the same thing.
What if the Clippers took down all those statues outside of Staples?
Okay.
What if they spray painted Shaq red and blue?
All right. See, now that's disrespectful.
Yeah. See, but that's the thing in Manchester. And did you see what Manchester United fans did because they don't like the owners?
Yeah.
That's what happens when we don't like the owners.
That should have been.
If another team goes out there to celebrate winning the entire European championship, yeah, there'll probably be some fireworks. Now the good news is both teams are in line to win a major European title. So even though Man City would be winning the big one, Manchester United could still bring home something. So that's nice. And then that would really truly be a city of champions. That's where all the championships in soccer would reside, really.
Pretty much, except for you guys are pissed at your owners, so you won't even really celebrate that much.
I don't know how that would look. I really have no idea. They didn't allow us to play the biggest game of our entire season because they were mad at the owners.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
We'll get back on track. But yeah, congrats to Man City, their first ever trip. It's been a long time coming. They've always sort of been the
Right
the
there.
little brother club per se, and now they've got the money. They've got a really good team, and here's to hoping that it's all EPL and all the championships. That'd be something to see. And Gannon hates Real Madrid too, so there's the
Oh, yeah.
cherry. There's the cherry on top. It'd
Any-
actually be more fun for you, I think, if Real Madrid won and then Man City got to beat them in the final. Would actually be a little bit sweeter at the end.
It
But-
would, but I don't want to leave that up to chance.
Right, because Real Madrid doesn't usually lose those. So,
No, they do not.
yep, I feel you. For my final thought, I'm also going to talk about some champions. In the UFC, we didn't get to cover UFC 261, one of the best cards of the year. Kamaru Usman viciously KO'd Jorge Masvidal. Masvidal never been knocked out. The BMF, the street fighter from Miami, in his home state of Florida, where he was really feeling himself, and you could tell he was taunting a little bit during that fight.
That
And
did not.
Usman, the wrestler, I don't know if anybody remembers the first fight, but everybody was, oh, he's so boring. He just stomps on feet the whole time and lays on guys until they can't move. Yeah, Masvidal couldn't move after this one, but it wasn't because he was stomping on his feet or just hugging him. No, this is the second straight great striker that Usman is completely put in the ground. Quite frankly, I don't know. I'm not ready to say it because John Jones, I don't think he should be punished for inactivity. But right now, Kamaru Usman would be my number one pound for pound fighter in the world in UFC, only because of Bones' inactivity. As soon as he comes back and fights one time, he's number one again. That'd be a given. Well, if he wins, obviously. Also on that fight were two women's championship two women's championship bouts. Rose Namajunas, the American who hates China and said before the fight, better dead than red.
Oh,
She
man.
KO'd the China. Yep, better dead than red. So better to be dead than a communist is what she was saying.
Sheesh.
Yep. She KO'd Zhang Wei Li, the Chinese champion, with a vicious head kick to win the title. She became the first woman ever to lose a championship title and then win it back. Never had happened before in the women's divisions until now, right? Because Ronda Rousey had a chance, but she went completely. Yeah, she pretty much went brain dead after Holly Holm destroyed her. But that's way in the past. And the other women's final, it went exactly as everybody predicted. Valentina Shevchenko just can't be beat right now. Demolished Jessica Andrade, knocked her out in the second round. And it's actually pretty wild because the main story from all of this fight card wasn't the two women's championships. It wasn't even Usman. There were two shattered legs on the main card.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've seen them by now.
Ugh.
But I felt like I had to mention it because it was the most.
You like to see nasty stuff? That's
It was. They were gross. The whole Buffalo Wild Wings where I was at when we watched, they were in pure shock. One of the attendants who was most in shock, Michael Irvin, who was in our Buffalo Wild Wings.
Cap.
Yes, he was. Get it shaking his head. I have three other witnesses with me. And Michael Irvin was in the Buffalo Wild Wings.
Michael Irvin in Overland Park, Kansas.
Yeah, Michael Irvin was here. That was Michael Irvin.
And he didn't take a picture, no video, no nothing.
No, because we didn't know. We saw like Michael Irvin. We said that guy looks a lot like Michael Irvin. Then we said, holy shit, because he wasn't talking. Like he was with two other guys.
That's something I also don't believe. He always talking and loud and sweaty.
But he was just walking out. He walked into the bathroom. And then in the bathroom, this is how we found out. But a guy came out, told us, because he was talking to himself while pissing. Because he was drunk. He was in the bathroom pissing. We weren't going to follow him in. By the time it had dawned on us, the guy came back out. He's like, dude, that is an unmistakable voice. That was Michael Irvin in there. We weren't going to run out to the parking lot to chase him, Like that we're not that obsessed. But yeah, he was in attendance. Such a wild night for us at Buffalo Wild Wings, and even wilder night at the UFC event.
Yeah.
If you love grotesque stuff, definitely go back and just rewatch that card.
Dude,
they slow it down for you so you can like see. And what the worst part was, it wasn't when he initially broke it or completely snapped it on the kick, but when he came and he tried to step back on it.
Just thinking about that is so painful. So painful.
It did hurt to watch. On this last UFC fight night, by the way, Dominic Reyes, the last guy who came close to beating John Jones, was pretty much ended with an elbow KO. And Yuri Prochazka, who we watched just a summer ago make his UFC debut, is now probably in line to fight Jan Blachowicz, who just beat Izzy Adesanya for a title. So some good stuff going on in UFC, just to catch you up. We've been out of it for a few weeks. I mostly blame Montae and Connor because they're not here right now. They haven't been here the last few weeks. So I mostly blame them, but it's also on us too, because we could have put out an episode just like this one.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's all good. We're making it happen, but that'll do it for episode 39. I want to thank you guys for listening. We continue to enjoy doing this all the time, so we're gonna try to get you as much content as possible. Again, please tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog. subscribe to our YouTube channel. Continue to listen to us on our podcast. Let's continue to grow that. Share our podcast anywhere and everywhere. But I want to thank you guys for listening. We're playing with some ideas. We may go live for episode 40, so stay tuned to that. So we may kind of start doing more of an actual show every week. Kind of set a time and day, and we'll let you guys know that ahead of time. But so stay tuned with us. But again, I want to thank you guys for listening, and you guys have a great one.